are you doing on this Thursday? Yeah, we're full into getting excited for December. Everyone's mood's lifting a little bit. We're trying to think of positive things. And yeah. So we just got a bit of feedback there, but all good. So tonight, last week when we had those hectic floods, I remembered that there's an amazing man who lives in our neighborhood called Graham. He's like the Steve Irwin of Groenkloof. So welcome, Graham. Lovely to have you here.
Everyone.
Yeah, lekker. So Graham has a lot of specialized skills, and we can touch on a couple of topics later. But his main thing, what he's here to tell us about, is his journey of basically rescuing animals and his love for animals, and just to educate everybody on how to be around animals, how to help animals. And over to you, Graham. So tell us a little bit of background about who you are, how your journey started.
Hi, okay. My journey started. I was studying fitting and machinery when I just got out of school, and then I started working as a mechanic, and then after mechanic as an auto electrician, and just got tired of everything. And along came a truck, and it looked funny, and I questioned the guy who was driving the truck, and he said to me, "No, we're doing game capture," and I'm like, "Damn, this truck looks strange, man." He says, "Yeah, no, it's got compartments," and he's explained to me. I'm like, "Do you have a job for me then?" And he's like, "Do you have any experience?" "No, I've got a truck license." And then on the truck I went 2 weeks later. On the truck I went to Botswana border, and I started game capture.
Wow, that's amazing. Oh, sure.
So after about 4 years of game capture throughout South Africa and throughout Africa, I had the privilege also to once to go up to Masamara and Gorogoro, and we did some operations on rhinos there, and that was a brilliant experience. But went almost all the African continents. Stayed there for not only one day but weeks, and it made the experience awesome.
Yes.
Then the Gogga bit me, and then I started the FAFAGASA, Field Guide Association of South Africa. I did my courses, and I became a game ranger, and I was a game ranger for quite a number of years in Interbeni Safari Conservancy up in the Limpopo, and Big Five area, but a very, very busy lodge. Did a lot of game drives, bush walks and stuff in Big Five, and then life just carried on, and we had to move on in life, and then I became environmental control officer or environmental officer for Group 5, and then after Group 5 environmental control officer for a big company called Sumitomo Corporation, where we erected wind turbines in the Eastern Cape. And then after that I got into security. And
that's where you are now.
I'm doing security, and then on the sideline, I like animals, love animals, catching snakes, catching animals.
We have some photos of some of your rescues over the last while. I don't know, we're going to show it. Hello, Amal. I see Elizabeth's here joining us. Hello, Marika. Laka. If you check on your live chat, you can see if anyone's got questions for Graham, but I'm sure we'll get some more of those. Elizabeth's asking, how long ago was that? Which part, Liz? The game ranger. Well, so how long ago were you a game
ranger? I started game ranging in 2004, and I left game ranging in end of 2008.
Okay, so it's 4 years, you said. Don't you you mentioned the word hoja. I love the word hoja. There's no better word, I think, in any language to describe a creepy crawly, a hoja.
A hoja, yeah.
Or even a little child. Yes, a hoja.
Yeah.
Yes, my hoja. Okay. So are we showing the clips, Clint? Have we shown one or two? So, okay, you're not scared of snakes, and I see there's some hectic snakes in some of those clips.
Snakes are my passion. I studied herpetology when I was a game ranger, but I couldn't finish my modules. At that stage, it was very expensive for me. I mean, a game ranger earns peanuts.
Mm.
2005, I think, game ranger's salary there was 1,900 rand a month, and and then you live off tips. So it was tough. So I only did about, I think, 12 modules of herpetology, but the rest I couldn't do. I couldn't afford it. And then
So
we
what's
also
what's the study of? Is it studies of reptiles or specifically snakes, or is it?
herpetology.
Yeah,
It's the studies of reptiles, amphibians.
reptiles. Okay,
Yeah,
I've learned something new. Yes, herpetology. Spell it
herpetology.
HERB with a B.
Yeah.
So you think it's not studying plants, herpetology? No, it's studying
Yeah.
of reptiles, people. Yes. Okay. So I've learned something new tonight. Yes. Okay. So right. So okay. So let's go back. So your snakes. So what's been some close calls and you just like chilling, letting them sort of slide past you?
With
Have you ever?
with the snakes in my game ranger days, as an earn extra money, I used to milk snakes, especially black mambas. We had a guy from African Reptiles and Venom, Mike Perry, and a professor from Germany, and he had some, I don't know, he had some study on black mamba venom, neurotoxic venom, that there's a cure for cancer. And then I used to milk the snakes for them. They used to pay me for it, and I slept. Well, the snakes slept in my room, probably about 10 to 15 of them in
I'm sure
cages.
you weren't very popular with the ladies back then. It
Uh,
was difficult getting them to kind of like come over.
yeah, we used to braai at the friend's house, so yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, then that was with the snakes. That's an extra income I did. You also have to be licensed. It's not just any body that can just milk snakes and send, because they have to come and assess your cages and see that you've got a clean environment, because they have to
Thank
use
God.
that. So yeah, then the snakes is a big passion in my life. Any reptile is a big passion in my life, and yeah, it's just love it.
Okay,
Near
brilliant.
misses, yeah, near misses with snakes, there was quite a lot. In game capture, I got bitten by a puff adder and a twig snake. Twig snake, there's no anti venom in South Africa or in the world actually. It's a hemotoxic venom, so blood transfusion if you get
Sure.
bitten. I was bitten, and I was on 3-day observation in the hospital, and it was a dry bite, which was lucky. So some snakes do give a dry bite; they don't give a bite and dose a full mouth of venom into you. They just bite you to warn you, and that's typical behavior of a twig snake. Very placid, very shy snake. So, and then I got bitten by a puff adder on my shin, on my ankle actually, with game capture. Stepped by accidentally stepped on it. Got bitten by a night adder. One of the guests were playing. He was a bit intoxicated. So I took the snake from him, and as I took the snake, he pulled the snake back, and the thing bit me on my finger. So yeah, that was a nasty experience.
Sure. What happened to the finger? Did it scar? Have you got a scar now?
No, not really. It's just a little colicky, a little dot there on the finger.
Okay.
So yeah, but my whole hand swelled up, and I had a purple black mark in my inside of my arm to my chest, and then it was just observation on the swelling, because it's a cytotoxic venom. So you must just check the blood flow. If the blood flow is cut off, then you lose limbs and lose hands. If the swelling is too much, but survive.
How much pain? Like I want to know. Like I could
the pain is
never.
excruciating.
Excruciating.
A puff adder bite, cytotoxic venom. It's I'll rather get bitten by a black mamba than a puff adder again. That's how painful it is, because on all your joints, all your everywhere you press, or it's so painful. It feels like a coal. Somebody's having a hot coal stuck to your joint. It's very. It's like, if I had to describe it, it's like boiling oil through your blood.
Yes. No, I
So
can't imagine, and I can't. I don't. No,
no,
look,
don't
I'll be
need to.
honest. I had a mate who had a python in his room, and I wouldn't go into his room, and his mother wouldn't either. Actually, no, I lie. I did go into his room, like yeah, but it was okay. Where's your snake? Okay, I check the snake. No, in fact, he sold it to one of the guys who used to do that. Remember that gymnasium thing that they used to do on? I think it was on SABC back in the day, and they had fire on. There was that girl with the
Oh,
red flaming hair.
Gladiator.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And this big guy, I can't remember his name. Well, he sold his snake to him. He was a big snake collector. I think it was even in the U magazine. His daughter had like a boa. What's that
Granite.
name of it?
Granite.
Huh?
Granite.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. He was
Yeah,
a
he
big
stays in
snake
Centurion.
collector.
Yeah, he stays
Yes.
in Centurion. Yeah.
Yeah.
He
So,
stays in the same street as my aunt. Yeah, I know exactly who you're
okay.
talking about. Yeah.
Okay. How many actually, I just want to go to some questions.
Yeah.
Somebody asks, Graham, do you know snakes in the city from Durban? Kevin Guy.
From Durban. Oh,
Yeah.
there's a wide variety of snakes in Durban. Black
Yeah.
mambas, green mambas, there's puff adders, there's Mozambique spitting cobras. I think Mozambique spitting cobras is actually the snake responsible for the most bites of any snake in KZN. They like the dampiness, and the adults come out at night time. And a lot of in the townships because it's not very clean and stuff like that. So
a lot of hiding
yeah,
places.
yeah, there's a lot of snakes in KZN, plenty.
Yeah, I think I think it's a show as well. I think there's a show called Snakes in the City, and I think
Yes,
it's
yes,
run
yes,
by a couple
yes.
with lots of tattoos, and yeah,
That's
they
it,
go
yeah.
and capture snakes. And but you were talking about obviously having a license to be a snake handler, and I think it's so important, especially with a country like ours that is not so bureaucratic, or maybe in some instances we're over bureaucratic, and in
Yeah.
some instances there's no control, like
Yeah.
it's a stuff up. But I think it's so important with people when they do work with animals that they are checked, that they are licensed.
Look, to be a snake wrangler, you don't really need to be a license. If you're milking, is a complete different thing. That's a completely different thing. But to also have snakes in your possession, you have to have a license. Or some people have a zoo permit. Where we in Interbeni where I worked, we had a zoo permit, and we also had an animal sanctuary. So I was trading under that animal sanctuary's license. So we also opened up a reptile center in that animal sanctuary, and when we opened it up, I said no invasive species, only local species. When you have a lot of these guests coming from Australia, America, wherever, and they black mamba. I want to see a black mamba. And whenever they're on game drive, they can't see a black mamba. So we take them to this area and we show them black mamba in the caval, in the enclosures and stuff. But at least they get to see them, and we can explain to them how they hunt and how their behaviors is and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that was a plus point for me in my game ranger days of getting the snake center up and running.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And I know that, I mean, the Pretoria Zoo has, I mean, I haven't been there in years, but I know that they had quite a big selection of reptiles back in the day.
No, they still do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not really into zoos, I'll be honest, but I suppose when it comes to education, I think the internet is being a better place, and I think being in the wild is far better.
No, definitely. I mean, zoos. My feeling on zoos also. I don't like zoos. I'll prefer a zoo with an animal that can't go back to the bush, or can be set free in the wild. And his only option is the zoo. That I agree with. Also agree with rare animals. If you keep them in a secret location and then study them and try to breed them and get their numbers up again, that I'm up with. But just putting a wild animal into a zoo, that's just murder.
So I see Elizabeth is on fire tonight. She's got another couple of questions. Graham, where do you release the snakes once they are caught?
In Groenkloof, I don't know if everybody know where Groenkloof is. Right behind Groenkloof is Fort Klaprokorp Nature Reserve, and just behind that is the oldest nature reserve, Groenkloof Nature Reserve, and that's where I normally go in and I'll release them. I've got a good relationship with the head of Parkport there, and whenever I get to the gate, I don't get even asked. I just drive in, and then I'm going to go and release some animals.
Sure, they stay away from the truck. There's something dangerous in that truck. Yeah, no. We'll come to that story a little bit later about the latest dangerous animal you had, and I actually looked up the damage that porcupines. We actually have a small video of Graham helping a poor porcupine that got stranded with the floods. But I just want to answer another quick question. How important are reptiles for our ecology?
It's a very important source. I mean, it keeps all the pest animals in control. Rats, mice, grasshoppers. They are a big important animal in our society. I sometimes get so angry if people kill them, or but not even killing them. The person trying to kill them also puts themselves at risk, because you might slip. Your adrenaline is so rushing, and you're not concentrating what you're doing, and your head says hit, your leg says run, and that's a mistake people do. Just leave it as it is. If you can't handle it, or just move away and call somebody that can. But there is a big lack. There's a big lack in amongst us not being trained on snakes, on reptiles, wild animals. Because they, in my younger days, when I was like 20 years old, doing game capture, a guy taught me a very good lesson. He said to me, "Don't trust something that cannot speak. You must always have the world's patience with it." And it was a bushman, and he became my tracker eventually, and also my tracker when I was doing anti-poaching as well.
Wow, that's amazing. We could do a whole stream on that as well. Wag, meneer, jy gaan nog werk vir jou. Werk vir die storie. Yeah, no. Hello, Kat. Glad you're here tonight. Excellent. And another question: what is the longest time spent getting a snake out of its hiding place to catch it?
Sure, that's a difficult one. Sometimes 2 days. Depends on if a snake gets into a hole, but there is ways of getting snakes out. We sometimes had snakes going into vehicles on the nature reserve, especially black mambas and pythons and stuff. Then they'll go underneath the vehicle into the engine compartment, and then there's tricks and trades that we have and that we learned, and we normally take a petrol cloth with a rope, and it will pull it under through the vehicle, and the snakes hate that petrol smell. They hate it, and then they'll just squirm out and try to flee. That's normally what we do. We'll take also with a rope, and then in the little compartments just dab the petrol infused cloth there, and then they'll come out.
Okay, but like you're not telling anyone to do that, obviously. I have seen a video long ago someone posted where Osa, I think it was a black mamba or something, got Osa stuck in between a thing, and it was a hell of a job getting the poor thing out. Yeah. You don't want to hurt the animal.
No.
I even had, when they were blasting for the Gautrain,
yes,
we got a lot of stragglers around. I noticed there was a lot more brown, even though it was brown house snake, but I saw, I think in a space of 4 months, there was obviously a nest that was disturbed nearby, and I think I saw about 5 brown house snakes, and one managed to come into my little house, and I freaked. I'll never forget. And that was right by me. I walked into the kitchen. It was under the stove, and I thank God I never stood on the thing. And I thank God. I phoned my friend. I said, "You better come get this snake." So we kept it in a bucky, and then he kept it in a place at home, and then he released it again. But like, let's say a brown house snake does bite you. Is it sore? Apparently you get a headache.
Okay, no, not at all. Brown house snake doesn't have venom. But just to put it straight, so everybody knows, a snake is not poisonous. The snake is venomous.
Venomous. Yeah.
If you drink poison, you'll die.
Mhm.
If you drink
Right.
snake venom, your body will absorb it as a high protein. Unless if you have a stomach ulcer or you have cuts or whatever in your mouth and the venom gets into there, then you've got a bit of trouble. But if you have no sores or stuff like that, you drink venom, your body will absorb it as a protein. But if it gets injected into your bloodstream, that's a different story.
Wow. Sure.
Yeah.
So cool. I'm learning so much tonight. That's excellent. Okay. Yes. No, people always say poisonous. Yes. I mean venomous.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Venomous. All right. And also what is, like, can you make money? Like, so if people were to capture and release, how much would you, I mean, I know you don't necessarily charge. I mean, you're
No.
just there for the heart of it.
If it's out of my area, or let's say I have to drive a bit, I'll just claim my petrol money. But I won't ask any fees. I don't. Some people you can make a living like those snake wranglers. I'm okay. They got a TV show and stuff like that. But where there's a lot of snakes, here in Pretoria, there's not a lot of snakes. Joburg, there's not a lot of snakes.
No,
If you go Petersburg, or you go Naarden-Spruit, that area in the Limpopo, Waterberg, Mountain, Rocky area, hot area, KZN, there's a lot of snakes. There's plenty of snakes. So, and there's dangerous snakes there. So there I can see if you make it a sideline job. I wouldn't necessarily make it a full-time job, but a sideline job, yes.
Okay. So let's say now julle gaan stap. Jy en 'n paar maatjies, you now walking up the koppie there by Hartbeespoort or Rustenburg, and daar pik 'n slang jou.
Okay.
So what is the best thing to do?
Never suck it, never squeeze it. Okay, this is it's not a difficult question, but if you know your snakes and you know what snake it was, then you automatically know what venom went in. But there's a lot of factors. But this is me. It's I'm not allowed to say this to people, but this is me. So if a snake bites you and it's a puff adder, I know hospital is probably an hour away. Then I will do nothing. I will clean the wound. I will wash off the excess venom that is left on the skin. The guy's going to be in excruciating pain. I'll get him to a hospital immediately as possible. Once you bind off a leg with such a toxic venom, like a puff adder, Mozambique spinning cobra, a night adder, or night adder is not that venomous, but any snake with such a toxic venom, if you bind it off, what happens is the venom stays in one area, and it's a cellular destruction. So it destroys your cells. It causes necrosis, rotting of tissue. So I will not bind it off. I would let the venom run through, and then at least you can maybe save your limb, a leg or an arm or a hand, where you're gonna bind it off. But look, if you are 4 hours away from a hospital or whatever, or it's a ridiculous amount of time, then I would bind it on and say, well, Chuck, rather your arm or your life. Where most of your cobras is neurotoxic, your black mamba is neurotoxic. So if that snake bites you, you bind it off, because it attacks your nervous system. Okay. Some of the snakes do have a cocktail where it's a predominant neurotoxic and a little bit of a cytotoxic, percentage of cytotoxic. So you'll feel pain at the bite side, but the neurotoxic is dominant. Where I read stories from people that got bitten by black mambas, and they like, people come onto his body, they think he's dead, and they start CPR, and then his eyes is open, and he's explaining. He says, "Yo, I just feel like hitting this oak of giving me faster compressions and more air. I just need more air." And that's what the neurotoxic does. So that you bind off immediately. But if you don't know what snake it is, it's difficult. It's really difficult. Then I would say bind it off. If you don't know, I mean, at least you're going to save the person's life. But no sucking, no cutting, no that's just Ofro stories, if I can put it that way.
Okay.
You don't do that at all. You don't suck, because if you got a cut in your mouth or whatever on your gums, let's say you got a gum disease, or if you suck that venom, you're spitting out, you putting yourself in danger as well. You're gonna have a swollen mouth as well if it was cytotoxic venom.
Sure.
So no cutting, no sucking, no nothing.
Okay, so this, slange vir die dag. So, but snakes are your passion, and look, I definitely will keep your number on hand if ever. I don't like. I like people say spiders or snake, and to me, I can handle, because some people can't handle spiders. I can handle a spider.
No, spiders are fun as well.
Yeah,
Nice.
I don't mind a spider. You stay there, okay, cool. It's the problem is when it disappears, then it's a bit of a problem. But yeah, I know some people can't. But I mean, rain spiders, I know obviously it's summer now and rain spiders are coming out. I hate that people kill spiders. I think spiders are amazing creatures. And just because they've been, in fact, I don't know if this is true, but it's some trivia that I may know. Apparently, the daddy long legs is supposed to be the most, is it venomous?
No.
No, listen to this. But their mouths cannot bite through our skin.
No,
Isn't that true?
They're
They're venomous to other insects.
No, that's an Ofro story.
Where is it? Okay.
Yeah,
Oy
that's an Ofro story.
Okay.
That's an Ofro story.
All right.
The spiders that we have to be careful here is a sack spider, a brown button or black button spider, the violet spider. Those are spiders that we get here, and they're nasty. But I mean, I've slept in the bush, and they were running. I don't know why they didn't bite me or anything. Some bit me, some didn't. But oh well.
I think there's your 16-year-old in the back there.
Yeah, he ran past now. That's the only time when you see him, if he actually eat or go to the loo, because he's an Xbox freak.
All right. My son loves PlayStation. Yeah. You can't pull them away from it quick enough. Okay, so spiders, snakes. All right. Shall we talk about other furry creatures? So let's look at some of the other furry creatures. You said you sent me a picture of a Dussy.
Yeah, that Dussy. That was a sad story, but it was nice but sad.
Okay, let's look at it a little bit.
Yeah, he was in in Florence Ribeiro. There's a lot of Dussies. There's plenty, and this Dussy got somehow into this guy's property, and the dog started chasing him, and the guy phoned me, says, "Please, there's a Dussy here, kid. What can we do?" I said, "I'm like, okay, we'll go and catch it. I'll try to catch it and see if we can." And he says, "Do you have visual on it? You know where it is?" He says, "Yes." So I rocked up there with my daughter, and my daughter was my assistant. So we had some towels there, and we had some welding gloves there, because you don't want to get bitten by a Dussy. They got nasty teeth. Nasty. Very nasty. And yes, it's true. They are very related to. They are related to elephants. They say they fall in the same family.
Oh wow!
It all goes on about dental structure and bone structure. So their dental structure is exactly the same as an elephant, and their bone structure, jaw structure, the feet structure is exactly the same as an elephant, just in a tiny version. So yeah. So but their teeth are terrible teeth. They'll bite through your hand, and they got a very loose skin. So even if you catch them, they turn in their own skin, the same as a rattle, as a
what's it, a honey badger?
Honey badger. They turn in their own skin, and they can turn around and bite you. So precaution, and vicious little animals. I see some of the people do tame them up on the farms, but terrible. They bite you. So eventually we got to the animal, and I saw the animal was bleeding, and the one eye was out. He injured his eye, and but he was also very old. So eventually we caught him after about an hour, and I took him to Pretoria Zoo, and then luckily luckily there was students. There was one vet and students, so they assisted me immediately. So we took it in. They sedated on that photo that I sent you. You know, they had the mask on him, and they put it to sleep. so they can work on the animal. And then they couldn't do anything for the animal anymore because the animal was too injured. I think the guy's dogs bit him and stuff like that. He lost his eye, and there's not really people that's going to look after it. It's sad, but there's nothing they could do. But luckily, they're not an endangered species or a protected species. There's hundreds and hundreds and thousands of them out there in the copies and everywhere. So they had to put it out. And that's the story of the rock hyrax.
But at least, I mean, I suppose it was a bonding experience with your daughter as well to
try and both daughters, and then I also explained to them. I've explained to both of them why they had to put it down.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Sometimes it's cruel to be kind, I suppose, or you've got to. That's life, Death is a part of life at the end of the day. But yeah, okay. So let's leave the wild animals for a little bit. And we spoke earlier, but you told me about your pets. So you've got 2
pit bulls, rescue pit bulls. Yes.
Oh, beautiful. Now, I think it's the pit bulls. They're the ones with the long. Is it them? The long with the long face? Hey.
No, they don't have a long face now.
They're just the normal, like Staffy type looking dog.
Yeah, almost like a Staffy. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, people don't like them very much, but I love them to bits.
Yes. No, I actually belong to Pity Nation on Facebook. Okay. And they're all about rescue of pit bulls and educating people, and it's amazing. So
we were with the organization of Underdogs, which is also a rescue organization on pit bulls and against dog fighting and trying to break up the syndicate of dog fighting.
How many dog fighting arenas are there still in the city?
No. I've got no idea. The dog fighting is much bigger than what we think it is. There is much larger people. If I say larger people, business people, doctors, advocates that is involved in these syndicates, the dog fighting syndicates. It's very sad. It's really, really sad. And these guys have got so clever now that they'll do a dog fight. No one will know where it is until the day 5 minutes before it must happen. Then everybody will pitch us up in a bush, and then people will report, listen, we've got a dog fighting. If you get there, and it's very sad, when you get there, you get dogs burned. The smoke will still run out of them. That's how quick we try to get there, but then the whole fight is already gone. They got tipped off, and they'll set the dogs alight. That's just how.
That's a bietjie. Dis bietjie seer vir die hartjie. But you saved your. Yeah, you saved. Okay, so tell us about yours. So you saved your.
Our first pit bull, my female, Kita. She is. I'm gonna see if I don't know if I can send you a picture. Will you be able to put it on or not?
Not now, but
okay.
Not now.
Kita was. We had reports from a lady in Dussy that was backyard breeding and just selling to random people and also to selling to the dog fighting syndicates and stuff like that. And we investigated. And when we got to the gate, we wanted to confiscate all the puppies. And then she refused to open and she locked the house and nobody came. So we tried to call them and one came out and we grabbed her through the fence. And she's here with me now.
Okay.
And then the other one, Duke, was a foster, not a foster. He was also used in dog fighting, but as a bait dog. Now, what that means is they'll use a random dog for their top dogs to hype their dogs up before the fight. So this dog will be punished and abused and being bitten and hit and stuff like that. When we got Duke, he was skinny. He had marks in his face. But now today, you won't recognize this dog.
Wow.
So we call him a gentle giant. He's just so relaxed. But if you wear a hat and if you have a stick in your hand, he's very scared. Even after 2 years, he still runs away from you then.
Shame.
But
It's
normal. Yeah, it's very
traumatic. I mean, I have a little rescue, and she's a lot better now. But for the first, I think, 3 years we had her, any man that would come near me, um,
Yeah.
she would bark and go mad.
Yes.
Eventually now, she's better. My son teases her. I always say they have a brotherly sister relationship, but she'll never. It's incredible. He'll tease her that she's like growling, but she'll never hop him. Never. It's actually a beautiful thing to see. Yeah, she's a little scoodle. She's a cross between a Scottie and a poodle. We think
Ja.
we don't know, but yeah, sy's baie oulik. Sy like ek noem haar my teddybeertjie met 'n hartjie. Ja,
Ja,
sy
ons
lyk
noem
soos
hulle
'n
lucky,
teddybeer.
ons noem hulle lucky packet honde.
Ja, lucky packet honde. Ja, verseker. Ja, sy is
Ja.
die beste lucky packet present wat ek nogal ooit gekry het. En okay, so laat ek nou maar mooi weer dink. Ja, also what I just want to say to people, please don't buy from backyard breeders, don't
Yeah.
buy from puppy mills. Go to Wet Nose, go to Woodhill. What's it that
There's plenty. Ollies.
there's plenty.
Yeah, there's
Plenty.
plenty.
Just Google animal rescue, animal shelters, SPCA. Also, if you can donate a bag of dog food or whatever this year, maybe as a Christmas present, maybe you want to do something for animals and decide instead of spending as a family, instead of spending money on Christmas presents, maybe you'd like to do something for the animals and go and dump a whole lot of dog food at a shelter. Maybe that's a great idea for a Christmas present if you love animals. But yeah, what I want to get to is your rescue with the floods. So we've got the pictures. I think okay, so explain the story. This was what, Monday morning? No? When did the rain?
Sunday.
Friday.
Sunday morning.
Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Okay. So you
Yeah.
got a call.
Got a call and they say, listen, there's a porcupine in the in one of the pools by Magnolia and Dell, the drainage pools, and it can't get out, and it looks like it's tired out. So got all my kits, my buckets, my welding gloves, and blankets and stuff. So went out there and saw the little bugger there in the water. You could see he was tired. He was wasted. Struggling against the stream and stuff like that. But that's the problem with them. They use the drainage lines to hide and to sleep in and stuff. And then every time we have these big floods, I mean, that's when they get either killed in the floods or they get washed out. And yeah, that happens like on Sunday. So we tried to catch it with all the stuff and relocate it back to the wild.
And you succeeded. How long did the whole operation take?
I think we were busy about half an hour.
Sure. That's not too long, I don't think.
No, it's not. It's a difficult look. It's very difficult because that animal thinks you want to kill it.
Yeah.
He doesn't know. So every time you come close, he puffs these quills up and he's trying to ram into you with the quills and stuff. And then you have to also be very careful. But also you have to also be careful for yourself because the area where he is, that water is not fresh. Well, it's a drainage system, so it's a bit gaga.
Yeah,
there's glass inside, and you can't go bare feet. And but yeah, we eventually caught it with a swimming pool net and welding gloves and blankets. Normally, if you put a blanket over an animal's eyes, just close his eyes, then he's a bit calm because he can't see what's going on.
Right.
But that also helps a lot, yeah.
Okay, and especially with a porcupine. Does the heart rate go, but poof, poof, poof? Like I'm sure you head off.
No, even the animal's heart rate goes 3 times higher than normal because they think they're going to be tortured or they stress out.
Good morning. Just going to have an attempt here at Magnolia Dell with the floods last night.
Release him in the bush and then later
try to see if we can rescue a porcupine.
The meantime, stressed out completely. So when you do capture wild animals, you have to, how can I say it? You have to work as quick as possible and get that animal out as quick as possible. So yeah, that's. It's not the first porcupine I rescued at the same spot. I think about 4 years ago, we also had another flash flood and also rescued another one. But that one was much quicker because we had a big net like almost like a swimming pool net that you pull over the swimming pool to stop kids from falling. We had one of those nets, so it was much quicker of catching him like that.
And he was obviously, thank goodness, too moch to shoot quills. I mean, I don't know, I find it fascinating. And some people asked me, I think I was telling the story to a friend of mine, and they're like, but their quills aren't venomous. I'm like, no, they just have barbs. For some people, that's a misconception. Or are they slightly venomous?
Quills, the porcupine?
Yeah.
No, not at all. And they don't shoot out their quills. They cannot. They ram them into you. So they'll puff up the back, puff up the quills so they stand up, and then they'll run backwards into you.
Oh.
They don't shoot out quills. Now, if the quills are dirty, obviously they're dirty. So if they puncture you, then you'll probably get infected and stuff if you don't clean it. But very, very tough, very hard quills. They can pierce right through you if they need to. That's how strong they are. I know of a guy that was driving, and he saw 3 porcupines crossing the road, and he drove over all 3 of them, and he punctured 4 wheels. Obviously, they were dead. Sorry about that, but that's how tough those quills are. They went through the cast tire.
Oh, well, it deserves him right for killing them, Lewis.
No, for sure.
The minste was say bande pop. I hope he was stranded for days. But excellent work. Yes, like, well done. Like, we're just so grateful that you put yourself out there. And I think the animals are so, I mean, it's crazy to think that you hope eventually that animal, because I actually thought about the porcupine. I hope he's burrowing himself a nice little nessie there now on top of the hill overlooking Groenkloof village.
Do you know what the porcupine falls under?
Can I guess? Can I try guess?
Go for it.
Would I get it? Porcupine. Would it be something completely would it be a completely different animal?
No, not a completely different.
Okay, I'd say maybe
it's our largest. It's our largest in that species.
A bush pig, maybe?
No. Falls under the rat family.
Big rat.
It's a rat.
Okay, tell me.
Yeah, it's a rat. Falls under the rat family. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Like with COVID, and obviously with the shortage of food in the cities, because everyone was locked away, and I know we've got businesses in town. There was a report that the rats were getting quite daring.
Yeah.
And I believe this is where we need to cultivate our owls, and we also touched on owls the other day, or just now. How do we encourage people to put up owl boxes, and also not to poison rats?
No, not at all. Not absolutely not to poison. But you get some poisons that is a once-off poison. You do get it. I can't remember what it's called. So if a rat eats it, a rat will die of it, and then it will, wherever it goes, it will die. And if a secondary animal eats it or consumes it, then that animal will be fine. So it's a once-off. Yeah, there is. It's a once-off poison that you get. I can't remember what the name is. But your owl boxes is the new norm now, especially in Groenkloof here. Almost every second house in Herbert Baker's got owl boxes, and there's actually one lady that successfully got, I think for the past 10 years, she's got owls in her property, and she's got about 4 owl boxes on, and they've got babies now. The owl she's got is a spotted eagle owl, and beautiful. I go there, as I said to you earlier, I go there a lot, and I'll take photos and observe the youngsters sitting in the tree, the juveniles, and it's just so, it's nice.
And how I love an owl. Is like, I think an owl's my spirit animal. I love it. I love an owl. Hello, Christian Bunzai, glad you're joining us this evening. And how many owls? I mean, we have obviously poisoned a lot. Are there any owls that you know of that are on the extinction list? in South Africa? Like, is there a sort of a, because I think they have been killed. I mean, I don't know to what extent.
They have been killed.
Endangered, sorry, that's the word.
Yeah, endangered and protected species. Not offhand, we have to go and look at the list. Each region varies. If you get marsh owls, if you get barn owls, Inoniki's owl, the spotted eagle owl, but most of them are protected species. They are in protected species.
Okay. Yeah, and I think it's so important with the townships. I don't know, there was that story about the owls, or they tried to launch something in Alexandria, but I don't know if it worked. There was some bugger up. I can't recall the story now.
Yeah, but
anyway.
you're sitting also with the shongomas. They use the beaks and the feet of the owls in their mutis and stuff like that. The same with Lakavana, rock monitors and stuff.
Yes.
If they can get all of them, they use the feet, the tail, and the skin and the teeth, and all for muti. So it's you have all those challenges and stuff. The same people now with this thing with the pangolins. When I did anti-poaching, my anti-poaching started also when I started game capture. Game capture we only did in the winter months, and then after the winter months we did game capture in the summer, because in summer you can't do game capture as the animals dehydrate. So we would do game capture not only on rhinos, but we did game capture on plant species like the Ujima rare cycad, and pangolins, any aloe plants we did anti-poaching on. There's people taking the stuff out of the wild and selling it on the black markets and stuff like that. Just for instance, the Ujima rare cycad is the rarest cycad in the world. It's the slowest growing cycad in the world, and they only occur in Africa. Zimbabwe, I know there's a small portion in Zimbabwe, and then there's a small portion in the Waterbergs, and they'll go and dig out the rugby ball size, and then that rugby ball size cycad gets sold on the market. Now I'm talking about 2007, and they were going for I think 20,000 rand.
That's weird. And where would the market be? Would it be the Asian market?
No, the cycads will go to people that's just greedy. It's just people that's greedy that wants to brag by his friends and say, "Oh, look, I've got the rarest species in my garden," or I got a legal species in my garden. Look at my collection. It's stupid. And we were. It was on carte blanche. We busted the syndicate the one day. And it was a courier company. It was a guy in Moreleta Park. He had a courier company, and he was sending his guys to the Limpopo. And once those guys finished dug out, he will load 3-4 bags of those cycads up, and then bring them to Pretoria. And from Pretoria, he'll distribute them or take them down to Cape Town, and where a guy was issuing false permits out for these cycads. So it was in 2007. It was the second biggest syndicate busted.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well,
thank God they got busted. But like, you don't even, it doesn't even fit. Like, I mean, I know recently on Carte Blanche they spoke about all the wood that's being chopped out through Rustenburg and Hartbeespoort, where guys come onto private land and just chop trees and chop all the indigenous. It is indigenous, hey?
Yeah,
indigenous trees, and just burn the wood, and there's like, and it's all corruption, and it's unbelievable the stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
So let's say nou ons wil braai. Nou wat se hout is goed vir braai, of is legal, of what do you think?
I don't like the people cutting indigenous trees because it's our trees, it's our nature's trees. Cirkelbos, but now you get to some areas where the cirkelbos is a pest. It's overgrown. It's there's just too much. Then you start cutting them out. It's like a cocky bos. It just grows everywhere. And the thing with the cirkelbos is it's got thorns, or not thorns, it's got spikes, and it loves tires. It goes through any tire. So, but the best Brian wood we have here is cirkelbos. There's another one a bit more up in the Kalahari called kameeldoring, but that's more Namibian. But that's your best Brian wood. Rooibos is your combriatum, your red bush willows, hardekwel. That's actually hardekwel. That's good Brian wood, but blue gum trees, no, that's not good.
No.
Also gives a funny smell and a taste as well.
Yeah. Sure.
Black wattle.
See, I'm learning lots tonight.
Yeah, it's all couple. It's all fireplace wood.
Yes.
Black wattle and blue gum trees. Your wattles. So yeah, that's all fireplace wood. It also burns up very quickly. That's the problem. So the coals is not doesn't stay heated long. Burns up very quick.
Yeah, and I think people don't realize, like, from your cycad to your owl, you know, with your snakes, with your rats, with everything. I mean, we learned about this at school.
Yeah,
it's an ecosystem.
That's it.
It's, you know, everything has its place. Everything has its purpose. From the little shrub to the big animal, they all have a place, and we need to stop thinking that we can just plunder and destroy and alles gaan fyn wees, jy weet. There is an end. I mean, look, you know, the whole well, we're not going to discuss it, and we could have another just topic about what you might call it, what are they always talking about? Natural, I can't think now. Sorry, the natural, you know, like of global warming and all of that.
Yeah.
But we won't talk about that tonight. So how do you know that you are getting sort of almost like the fishing industry, that a responsible chopped wood when you braai? Like, should you ask? Can you ask what wood it is? What sort of knots?
Yeah, so normally they have to mark the wood what wood it is.
Okay.
They have to. But you see, the guys are so desperate for money, and they'll put out the wood, and you'll go and braai with the wood, and it's still wet. Normally, when you chop off that wood, it has to stand for a season, dry out, and then the next season you can sell that wood. But it's difficult if you don't know your woods, if you don't know the grains and the look on the woods, then you're gonna struggle. But any wood around 100 PS per dam, I can guarantee you it's out of the Magaliesberg Mountains, and it's indigenous woods. Some of their woods, I saw carte blanche. Some of those guys don't even know what wood they're selling. The guy will just tell him, hey, it's cirkelbos or it's hardekwel or whatever, and they'll believe it. But in the meantime, it's not. And so
Okay.
it's frustrating.
No, it's crazy. But thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to? So okay, let me. I just wrote down. Oh yes, here we go. So okay, who should people contact? Obviously, if they come across a wild animal in their property or a snake, do they contact the Parks Board, their National Zoological?
The zoo is normally the best place to contact somebody. But in our area, I'll contact Cedric Tenga. He's from Kroencliffe Nature Reserve. He's the head of nature conservation here in our area, Cedric Tenga. You can just phone Kroencliffe Nature Reserve, and they'll put you through to his office. And then he'll advise you, or he'll send somebody out and stuff like that. We had a male baboon. I don't know what happened with it, but there is a male baboon now for a couple of, well, probably 2 years now, running around here. Nobody can catch him. But that's a difficult situation.
Yeah, actually, I phoned Sean about it. I saw it. It was on the off ramp. I didn't. Yeah. I saw a baboon. Whether it was that one, it was one Friday afternoon. I was coming back from somewhere, and I saw it It was on the road. I don't know if it was that one. I phoned Sean about it, and he said, "Oh yeah, he's been in the area." But I think he got hit. I think he did get hit. But thank you. So you look tired. You've got an early day, and you also do your security and keep us all safe. Yeah. So thank you so very, very much for joining me. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And yeah, TTFN, everybody.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.